Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name's John Cameo, and this is a companion video. What is a companion video, you may be asking? Well, I'm glad that you asked. You see, every day on the John Campus Show and on some open mics, we take live questions. But we don't always have time to get around to answering all the live questions that get sent in. And I want to make sure you know that when you send in those Super Chat live questions, they do get answered in a video. So I gather up those questions, bring them over here, and we address them on companion videos. And that's what we're going to do here today, getting caught up on a bunch of the questions you guys have been sending in this week. So let's start getting caught up now. And we're going to start things off with Act Naturally Productions, who writes, I love how the trailer showed a lot of really cool stuff, yet also told us nothing new at all. I think Act Naturally Production is probably talking about the Avengers Endgame trailer. Again, I like it. I thought it was good for a first trailer. For a first trailer, you guys know I have different expectations of first trailers compared to second trailers. For a first trailer, I thought it was solid. I thought it was good. I liked it. I enjoyed seeing what I saw. I didn't think it was mind-blowing. And I really didn't think it showed us a lot of cool stuff. It showed us people sitting down looking sad. Except for Hawkeye, who was standing up looking sad. But the whole trailer was people sitting down looking sad. Which is what this trailer should be. It is what it should have been, but I didn't think it showed us all that much new. But I dug it, I liked it, I thought it was good, but I cannot wait for the second trailer. All right, Kevin Asish writes, greetings from India. Why do you think Superman in the DCU didn't work for everyone? And what would you do if you are the director of Man of Steel 2? Well, I mean, look, Kevin, somebody asked me this earlier too. The reality is nobody knows. I mean, I think Man of Steel is a masterpiece of the comic book genre. I think it's a top 10 comic book movie of all time. Why it didn't work for some people, who knows? I mean, I really don't. If I could answer that question, I could run a movie studio on my own. As far as what I would do if I was the director of Man of Steel 2, I don't know. I mean, it's really not my... I don't want to sit here and say what they should do next. Because I think that's a habit that movie fans get into. We pre-formulate in our minds what the filmmaker should do, and then if they don't do what we think they should do, we have a negative disposition towards it. And I'm not going to do that, so... Honestly, Kevin, that is one of the great mysteries to me of all time. It will continue to be. All I can tell you is this, is that some people directly said that basically they didn't like it because it wasn't like the old Superman. It wasn't like the 1950s, 1960s, gosh golly, man, let me get that cat out of your tree for you, which isn't what an alien who had come to Earth today would act like, you know? So I've never really understood that criticism, but I've heard a lot of people make that criticism. But other than that, it's anybody's guess, man. All right, let's move on here to Hawes Fam TV, who writes, could Henry Cavill still do a Superman cameo in Shazam? It's theoretically possible, but highly unlikely. It sounds like that door was shut. And it sounds like there was at one time an idea for it, but the door got slammed on it. So while I will never say it's impossible, because nothing's impossible in this business, it does, however, at this point, seem extremely unlikely. Extremely unlikely that we're going to see that happen, unfortunately. Hervé Baye writes, last time Cap looked at Peggy's picture, Sacrifice. Yeah, I didn't understand what that was about, to be honest with you. Like, Peggy had died a few movies ago. And he had moved on since then. I mean, he even got involved with Peggy's either niece or great niece, whatever it was she was playing in the movies. He even got involved with her. I mean, so he has moved on. Robert Meyer Burnett has the theory that he's now involved with Black Widow, which I don't think he is, but maybe he is. So he's not only moved on, he's moved on several times. So I'm not really quite sure what the whole looking at Peggy's picture was about, but I'm sure once we see it in context in the movie, it'll paint a much better picture, and we'll understand it a lot better at that point. Let's see. Adam Lang-Evan writes, Scott Lang shown missing early on. Cap says, is this a past recording? Is Scott a Skrull? I don't think so. The only reason I don't think Scott's a Skrull is because, well, I mean, look, I do not think Scott Lang has been a Skrull from the beginning because there's just too many scenes in the Ant-Man movies where it's him by himself. Not trying to trick anybody, it's him by himself. So unless he's a Skrull and even he doesn't realize he's a Skrull, which is not the way it works, then I doubt it. What is a possibility, I suppose theoretically, is the last time we saw Scott, he was stuck in the quantum realm. Maybe Scott still is stuck in the quantum realm, and this Scott we see in the trailer is a Skrull. It's possible. Look, here's the thing, though. Ever since they mentioned that Captain Marvel was going to have Skrulls, everybody starts theorizing that everybody in the MCU is a Skrull. And the reality is, there's a possibility here that the Skrull chapter gets closed with Captain America, or Captain Marvel, I should say. It's possible that in the Captain Marvel movie, we get introduced to Skrulls, and then they close it. They close off that story on Skrulls, and we're not going to get Skrull stuff anymore moving forward. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but it is a possibility. Let's see what happens. Dirk Diggler writes, did somebody call my name? I'm guessing that's because the other day, the movie Boogie Nights came up, and Dirk Diggler was brought up. That's probably why I was mentioning that. Movie Fanatic 99 writes, Ryan Reynolds to host the Oscars, your thoughts? I've had so many people ask me that question, Movie Fanatic. Like a whole bunch of people have been asking me, what would I think about Ryan Reynolds hosting the Oscars? I'll say this. Everybody knows I am a big Ryan Reynolds fan. Huge Ryan Reynolds fan. Good Canadian kid. I love that guy. And if they announced that he was going to host the Oscars, I would certainly be intrigued. But with all of his gifts and talents, I don't know if that's what he would be best suited for. I mean, I think I'd rather see him doing a million other different things. So as much as I love Ryan Reynolds, and he's one of my absolute favorite guys in Hollywood, I don't think he'd be my pick to host the Oscars, to be honest with you. But, like I said, if they did say his name, I'd pay attention. Tom Elam writes, considering Tony is only human, just imagine how awful it would be to be alone in space as he is. He is completely helpless. Even his mind can't help. You know, there's so much to that. And a lot of people still speculate, and that's a possibility, that maybe Nebula is with him. I do not think she is. I don't think that ship we see her in is the same ship Tony is in. I think she abandoned him there. Whatever. But it's possible. It is totally possible. But let's go with the possibility, Tom, that he's alone in that ship. What makes it even more interesting is how much time has passed. Has it been weeks? Or has it been months? Or has it been years? I mean, there's so many things they could do with that would be really interesting with the character. And it does kind of expand the imagination about where they may go with that and what they may do. And I'm fascinated about that. I really want to see what they do with this Tony thing. Now, if you've watched Heroes, the Weekly Hero, the one that me and Robert Meyer Burnett do on Heroes in TV and movies, then you know that Robert has a theory that Tony doesn't get off that ship, that Tony actually dies in space, and then something else happens later to fix something else. I don't think it's going to happen. I think he will get rescued, but I think there's some really cool, dramatic stuff you could do with that setup, the way you've described it, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how they handle that. All right, next up, Cameron W. writes, Endgame is okay, I guess. I was hoping for Ass Pimple. Yes, so I made a joke once. That, I mean, the title of a movie is irrelevant. I mean, the title of a movie will not add to the quality of a movie. It will not take away from the quality of the movie. It doesn't matter. The only thing a title would do is maybe help with your marketing, but that's about it. And I jokingly said, it doesn't matter if the name of Avengers 4 is Ass Pimple. So Cameron's giving a call back to that. Factual Opinion writes, I watched the Deadpool movies for the action and a few serious scenes. The fourth wall-breaking jokes don't work for me. Really? Well, hey, look, to each their own. But here's the thing, Factual Opinion, to say that I want a Deadpool movie, but I don't want the fourth wall breaking. The fourth wall breaking is an identifying mark of Deadpool. It is part of the DNA of that character. It's a major part of the DNA of the character of Deadpool, one of the things he is most known for. To say, I would like to have a Deadpool movie, but I don't want any fourth wall breaking, that's like saying, I want to see a Wolverine movie, but I don't want to see any claws coming out of his hands. Or saying, I want to see a Superman movie, but I don't want to see him fly. Or, I want to see a Spider-Man movie, but none of that web stuff. Who wants to see webs? No webs. Webs gross. I mean, which is fine. I mean, it's all subjective, and certain things work for us and certain things don't. But I think it would be a little bit unreasonable to want or ask for a Deadpool movie without fourth wall breaking, because that is so integral to his DNA as a character, right? But hey, certain things work for some, certain things don't work for others. It's all subjective, Factual. All right, let's move on. Micah T writes, Do you think any of the Endgame trailer has fake scenes in it like the first Infinity War trailer did? I cannot believe, Micah, how many times I've been asked that since this trailer came out. I firmly believe no. And here's why I do not believe there are any fake scenes in it, why I don't believe there's any misdirects. Because they didn't show us anything in the trailer. There's nothing to fake. There was nothing to misdirect. Now, I'm not saying that Marvel won't pull any misdirections on us with their Avengers 4 marketing as we move forward, but I really strongly suspect that there is no misdirection in this trailer because this trailer wasn't pointing to anything. To misdirect means you're pointing somebody in the wrong direction. This trailer wasn't pointing to anything. So I don't see there being anything in that trailer to misdirect us. Unless, like, Tony's never stranded in space. He just got taken home by Nebula. Okay, but why would you do that? Like, with the Avengers Infinity War trailer, I get why they digitally took out a couple of the Infinity Stones. Okay, I get why they would do that, because that's a major thing. I get why they showed us that fake shot of Hulk running with Captain America and everybody else, in Wakanda. I get that because that's a major thing, and they didn't want to reveal the fact that Hulk doesn't show up in the movie. So they wanted to give a big misdirection. What is there to misdirect? That's the one reason I really don't think there is any misdirection, because there's nothing to misdirect. I suspect we will get misdirection in future trailers for Avengers 4. I just don't think, and it's possible there are in this one. I just suspect that there's not at this point. But that's just my opinion. All right. PJ Barnes writes, was Ant-Man protected by the quantum realm from the snap? Somebody else asked this also the other day. It's possible, but here's the thing. Remember, Thanos' snap didn't kill everybody. It killed half, right? Scott was there with Michael Douglas, with Michelle Pfeiffer, and, I'm forgetting the actress's name. Anyway, the four of them were there. And 3 out of the 4 disappear. Math says if only half are supposed to disappear, it is very unlikely that Scott would also disappear. So just because Scott didn't disappear in the snap does not mean he was protected from the snap in the quantum realm. It just means he wasn't one of the half. It was a 50-50 shot for everybody, right? Not everybody's going to disappear. Hank disappeared, Mom, the daughter, and he didn't. So, but just because he didn't disappear with the snap does not automatically mean it's because he was protected by the quantum realm. It's still a possibility. They could say the quantum realm, I don't know, is immune from the effects of the Infinity Gauntlet. I guess it's possible. So it's a possibility, but since it was only 50-50 shot, anybody gets dusted at all, I'd say it doesn't necessarily point in that direction. So that's what I'm thinking right now. All right. Josh DeRose writes, April 2019 features the Game of Thrones finale, Avengers finale, well, yeah, sort of finale, and the Stanley Cup playoffs. Yes, it does. This is like the solar eclipse of entertainment, and it's funny because clearly I'm a Canadian, because the thing I'm looking forward to most there is the Stanley Cup playoffs, but obviously really looking forward to the Game of Thrones finale. I'm not the world's biggest Game of Thrones fan, but I am very, very excited for this final season. The Avengers thing. We also, don't forget, we got Shazam coming in April. I believe it's April that Shazam's coming out. I'm really looking forward to Shazam. April 2019, Josh, is going to be an awesome month. I cannot wait. All right. Rufino Salazar Jr. writes, does it mean I didn't like The Last Jedi when I've had 5 chances to buy it on disc? I've even had a $20 gift card and chose to pass on it. I love Star Wars, have them all besides The Last Jedi help. Well, you may or may not have liked The Last Jedi. I mean, that's up to you to decide. But I wouldn't say the fact that you haven't bought it determines it. I have a lot of movies I love that I've never bought. Many movies I love. Now, then again, I don't buy a lot of movies. because I'm constantly watching new ones. So I don't actually buy. And then when I do feel like watching one of the older ones, I'll just pay $3 and rent it. You know what I mean? So I own a bunch of movies, but I don't own as many movies as you might think I do. So I have loved many movies. Like I don't own Deadpool 2. I love Deadpool 2 and I don't own it right now, right? Doesn't mean I didn't like it. I just didn't own it. So only you, Rufino, can answer that question. But whether or not, and by the way, I know people who own movies they hate. So it's up to you whether you like it or not. But I wouldn't say whether you bought it or didn't buy it has any indication as to whether you actually liked it or not. So I wouldn't worry about that. Okay. Victor Watson writes, "Hey, John, I really like the latest trailer of Captain Marvel. For me, I like the fact that it didn't reveal very much. Small bits and pieces is fine by me. But just me. I liked the trailer too. I thought it was good. It didn't blow my mind away though. And look, some people are saying I didn't like the trailer, but I did. The only thing I was saying before was that I think to kind of change the narrative amongst fans about Captain Marvel and generating buzz for it, I really thought the second trailer needed to blow everybody's mind. You needed to do something remarkable with it. And I thought the second trailer was quite solid. I thought it was a very good trailer, even for a second trailer, but it did not blow our minds. And I really thought that was something they needed to do. And maybe that's unfair to put those types of expectations on any trailer. Maybe it is unfair, but this isn't about fair or unfair. I just thought that's what needed to happen. And while the trailer was good, it wasn't great. And many movies, most movies, you can get away with a good trailer. You can get away with that. That's good enough. But for the position that Captain Marvel is in, when everybody is looking past Captain Marvel to Avengers Endgame, just putting out a good, solid trailer isn't good enough. You got to do something really special to capture everybody's imaginations, and I don't think they did it. But, you know, there are definitely things to like about the trailer. I enjoyed the trailer. You clearly enjoyed it as well. I just thought they needed to do more. And maybe that's putting unfair expectations on this movie when I'm not saying about that for any of the other Marvel films, but not all the other Marvel films are in the same position that Captain Marvel is in, and that's why I thought they needed to do more. All right, Taki75 writes, over under 40%. All of the Avengers 4 trailer footage is from the first act. Oh, dude, I've been saying that this whole time. I'd take over on 65%. I'd take the over on 70%. I might not go into 80 and 90, but I'll take the over on 70%. I believe that everything we saw in that trailer was not only from the first act. I believe there's a really strong chance it's from the first half of the first act. I believe all that happens in the first half of the first act. I believe everybody looks sad in the first act. I believe they find Hawkeye in the first act. I believe that Scott Lang shows up in the first act. And I even believe that Tony gets rescued in the first act so that they can make him a part of the plan to save the rest of humanity for acts 2 and 3. I completely believe it all happens in the first act. So yeah, over on 40%. Waterkid writes, what Star Wars Legend content would you like to see become canon? None, to be honest with you. I mean, look, there was a time when there was some stuff that I wanted, but the more and more canon that they develop, the more and more the stuff that I wanted from the Legends stuff to be brought into canon would contradict canon. And that kind of renders it kind of moot. Like for a long time, I wanted Heir to the Empire, right? I wanted the Thrawn trilogy, but the way canon is now, Thrawn proper is a contradiction to the continuity, so they've had to change Thrawn, and that's fine too. So there would be individuals, there are specific characters I wouldn't mind seeing from Legends to be brought into canon, but you'd have to understand that if you bring them in, you'd probably have to change their stories a bit so they don't conflict with existing canon. There's a certain smuggler I think we all love from Legends that I have in mind. But yeah, but again, understand you have to change a lot of stuff. There's not a lot of pure stuff from the Legends stuff that I would want to bring over at this point, just because the canon has kind of now been set. Victor Watson writes, hey, John, you and Robert were talking about Charlton Heston. One movie I loved was that he played in was called The Greatest Show on Earth. Yeah, with the circus and the clown. I believe Cecil B. DeMille directed that film. And Charlton Heston. I mean, the dude did a lot. We focus a lot on the bigger classics that Charlton Heston done, but the problem with that is it makes a lot of us forget just how many films he has made and just how many great films Charlton Heston's made over the years. That's certainly one of them. All right, we move on now to Holland Love, who writes, are we going to do another open speculation for Avengers 4? Absolutely we are. Maybe even next weekend. See, Robert and I just talked about our own speculations for Avengers 4 now that we've gotten the Endgame trailer. What I think we're going to do sometime in the next week or two is we're going to do an open mic live chat thing, just taking everybody's Avengers 4 theories. We did that once before, about 4 months ago. And now that we've had the Endgame trailer, I think now is a really good time to do another one. So yes, within the next week, we are going to do an Avengers 4 speculation, open mic format kind of thing. And I'll let you guys know, maybe even this week, maybe in the next couple of days. So just keep your eyes open for that. All right. I'm Upset writes, remember the Eddie Murphy film, 1,000 Words? So bad. Yes, it was horrible. But the one thing I'll say about 1,000 Words is 1,000 Words was a brilliant idea for a movie. Because the basic idea is, the notion of the movie is that words have power and meaning. And so he gets hit with this curse by this kind of a shaman character, right? That this tree pops up and it has filled with leaves, and every word that Eddie Murphy's character speaks, one leaf falls for every word he says. But when the tree runs out of leaves, he dies. And it forces the Eddie Murphy character to reevaluate the importance and value and weight of words. So he can't really speak. Terrible, terrible movie, but a brilliant, brilliant idea for a movie. All right, Derek Woodron writes, dang, John, you brought back the memories of that terrible dial-up sound, as well as having to call a fire home phone, worried her brother or dad might pick up. Yeah, LOL, first world problems and good memories. Where that comes from was on a show we did last week. We start talking, somebody asked about like trailers. Like, I remember when to get the newest trailer, I had to do this. And I'm like, what a lot of people who are 20 and under today don't remember is that there was a time when you wanted to watch a trailer and you had the old, like the dial-up phone modem, and you had to like download a trailer for an hour, 2 hours. I remember us having to download trailers for 3 hours to get a trailer to watch it. Now you just click on YouTube, instant play. Yay! Before, it was a commitment. You had to really want to watch that trailer because it was like an hour, 2, 3 hours commitment just to download like a 2.5 minute trailer. And those were the days. Oh, you know, we hate technology sometimes, but sometimes it's awesome. Thanks for that, Derek. All right, next one. Water Kid writes, why do you think Disney won't explore the Old Republic era in Star Wars? It has way more action and adventure the fans have been wanting. Well, first of all, Water, whenever somebody says the fans want, what you're really saying is you want. Don't pretend to speak for the fans. You don't. Okay, so let's just be clear. I'm telling everybody that when people say, the fans want this. No, no, no. You want that. And some people you know want that, but you don't speak for everybody. So just be really clear on that. No, it won't. It won't make any difference. Number one, I do think eventually that Disney will explore Old Republic stuff. They will. But it won't necessarily be the Old Republic that you know or remember. They'll write their own stuff and it'll be great, I'm sure. But the thing is this, every era in Star Wars has tons of great action adventure. You can put it, any movie, you can put in as much action adventure as you want. You don't want to put in too much because then it gets tiring. You don't want to put in too little because then you're just anxious for it. But you got to always strike that balance, the right amount of action. The new Spider-Man Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movie, the new animated one, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, is a great example of a wonderful balance of just the right amount of action. Balancing action with story. Some people just want a 2-hour-long video game cutscene. That doesn't make for an entertaining movie. So you want a little bit of balance. But the point here is they don't need to do Old Republic. They might do an Old Republic movie and have no action in it. Or you could do a new thing and it's just piled and have too much action in it. The point is, You can make any movie in any time period, and the writers can put in as much or as little action adventures that you want. The time period that they choose to do it in has nothing to do with it. Has nothing to do with it. The time frame, they can make one in the Old Republic and not have enough action, make a new one now, has too much. It doesn't matter what time period you pick. It all depends on how much you want the writers to put into it, regardless of the time frame. So I wouldn't worry about that Watergate. And like I said, I really do believe at some point, probably sooner than we think, I think Disney will start going into some Old Republic stuff. I even have my suspicions that the Rian Johnson stuff is Old Republic. I have my suspicions that Rian Johnson stuff is Old Republic, but we'll have to wait and see. All right. Captain Mexico 21 writes, I'm hoping that at the end credit scene of Far From Home, they reveal that the Spider-Man we see is actually a Skrull, and our Spidey never made it back to Earth after the de-dusting, hence the title. Again, Captain, that makes a huge assumption that Skrulls have anything to do with the world now. There was a Skrull issue whenever in the 90s when the Captain Marvel movie takes place, but I think there's a good chance, and I don't know this, I'm not saying anybody from Marvel's told me this, not at all, I'm just speculating. I'm saying I think there's a pretty decent chance that the Skrull problem gets solved in Captain Marvel, and that there are no Skrulls today. So I don't know that. I mean, very well, maybe it could be, but we're going to have to wait and see. Lyle Navin writes, 38 years ago today, John Lennon was killed outside of his home in New York City. I know you dislike the Beatles, but what do you think of songs like Imagine and Christmas? They're gibberish. I think, look, they're gibberish without have very, very catchy melodies, right? Imagine there's no... I mean, it's the melody's great. It's very catchy, but when you sit and read the words, it's kind of gibberish. Scott Mance right now is screaming somewhere in the world. He senses somebody speaking badly of the Beatles, and he's screaming in silence somewhere in the world right now. But yeah, I don't think they're very good. And I acknowledge I'm like one of the only guys on the planet who doesn't actually like the Beatles, and I didn't think those songs were very good either. But they're incredibly catchy, right? They are catchy and have great melodies. And Imagine was one of the first songs I learned how to play on piano when I was learning piano. So I'll always have a little bit of a connection to it in that way. All right. Victor Watson writes, John, I'm really hoping that Star Wars Episode 9 doesn't release any trailers until at least September due to the fact that December 20th is the release date. Well, September, October, November, December's a little, that's pushing it. I mean, I don't think that's panic rate, but even I think for a movie the size of me, who I want a shorter window in Hollywood from when you release your trailers to when the movie's coming out. I think 4 or 5 months is great. 6 months is okay. 7 months now, you're really pushing. I think anything 8 months or earlier is just far too soon. But for a movie the size of Star Wars, I think September's probably too late. I think you got to launch something before that. I suspect that we're going to get our first Star Wars trailer. Actually, because of Star Wars Celebration, we're probably going to get at least our first teaser at Star Wars Celebration this year, which I think is in April. I'm not going this year, but I think it's in April. It's probably going to get our first teaser, and then our first full-blown trailer probably in July or August. Probably closer to July. And then we'll go from there. September just feels like it's just 3 months out. That feels like a little bit too tight. Even me, who wants to see a shorter trailer windows, I think it's going to be sooner than September. Dakota Barber writes, John, look up trailer for Brightburn. Looks great. Yeah, I've been talking a lot about Brightburn this week. That trailer was crazy good. I hated it for the first minute because I'm like, this is just a damn Superman ripoff. But then it kind of reveals what it really is, and I went, oh my God, this is brilliant. This is so freaking brilliant, and I cannot wait to watch this movie. If you guys haven't seen the Brightburn trailer yet, do yourselves a favor and go look it up. All right. Marie Seifring writes, with good buzz from Rotten Tomatoes, over or under that 15% that Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse matches Oh, no chance. That Spider-Verse matches Incredibles 2 box office total. Zero chance. Zero chance. No way. Look, critic reviews influence how much money gets made, but it's not like it makes a night and day difference. A movie all other things being equal, makes this much. If it had great reviews, it'll make this much. If it had terrible reviews, it'll make this much. But it's not like it'll make this much with great reviews or this much with bad reviews. It's just not. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is, I think they're projecting like 30-something million opening weekend for it. Fine. Whereas The Incredibles, like 100 plus. Did it come close to... Let me just look this up. It might have come close to 200 million. Did it not? I cannot remember. Hold on a second. Incredibles 2 opening weekend made close to 200 million, 182 million, went on to make $1.2 billion. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse isn't going to come anywhere close to that. I think Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is a better movie, which is weird to say because I never thought that was possible. I love Incredibles 2, but I thought Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was better. But it will be lucky to make half of what Incredibles 2 made. If Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse gets to 600 million, and I don't even believe that's going to happen. But if it did, they got to consider that a huge win. Making as much as Incredibles 2, 0. I give it an absolute 0%. Not going to happen. Leo Milmet writes, "Howdy, John. Hot take. Martin McDonagh has gone downhill since In Bruges." Are you kidding me? I like 3 Billboards and 7 Psychos, but In Bruges is... No, first of all, In Bruges is not perfect. I love In Bruges. I love that movie. I think it's great. With Gleason and Farrell, it's a great movie. I love it. 3 Billboards is better. It's all subjective. You have a different opinion, clearly, but you're asking me my opinion, so I'll tell you my opinion. 3 Billboards is better. 3 Billboards is all types of brilliant. That is a genius of a movie. I adore that movie. I think it's better than In Bruges. I do. Not so much 7 Psychos. I didn't hate 7 Psychos. I thought 7 Psychos was good. But it wasn't as good as I was I didn't like it as much as I was hoping I would. In Bruges, though, fantastic. But yeah, man, to me, 3 Billboards is a better film than In Bruges. And I adore In Bruges. That's not casting shade on In Bruges. But 3 Billboards was a very, very special movie. To me, it was a very special movie. And I think it's the crowning jewel in his career so far. But that's just my take on that. All right. Denmar95 writes, "MCU trailers, in my opinion, Avengers Endgame. I will be there opening day. Captain Marvel, not so much. That's how I feel. I hope the next Captain Marvel trailer hits me more." Well, look, it's again, trailers are like everything else. They're like, some things will hit you one way. Sometimes they want another. Look, there are some people out there who think the Avengers 4 Endgame trailer is like the greatest trailer ever. And I think it's good, but it's a first trailer of a bunch of people sitting down looking sad, which is kind of what it should be. It's a first trailer, fine. But I'm not going to pretend like it's some mind-blowing thing on the level of like the second Avengers Infinity War trailer. It's not, at least not to me. And Captain Marvel may have worked for me a little bit better than some others, but even I didn't think it was great. So it all depends on how it hits you. That's the art of marketing, man. That's the art of marketing. Some things will hit certain people certain ways. Some things will hit people other ways. Tyler Yeats writes, "Always feels good when you like one of my tweets. LOL, I sent that GIF with Ray Liotta in response to the John Cena tweet of yours. Always love the vids. Feels like we're friends." Well, I'm glad. Well, thank you, first of all, Tyler, for following me on Twitter. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And yeah, thank you for responding to something that I wrote. I appreciate that, man. All right. Leo Milmet writes, "Also, have you read McDonagh's The Pillow Man?" I have not. "One of the best contemporary comedic plays ever. If so, do you think that story would work well on film?" Well, since I haven't read it, I can't give an opinion on that. But man, McDonagh he's a Hollywood treasure, man. This dude just cranks out amazing stuff. And this sounds interesting. No, I have never read it, so I can't say whether or not I think it would work well on film. But thank you for bringing it up and mentioning it. ZCM Zombie Custom Maps writes, "What was more disappointing, Daredevil canned or James Gunn fired from Guardians of the Galaxy 3? I'm going to say James Gunn released from Guardians. I think that was more disappointing. Look, the thing about Daredevil is, as much as I loved it, we got 4 seasons of Daredevil. 3 of Daredevil proper, 1 for the Defenders. So basically we got 4 seasons of Daredevil. And we got I mean, I like Defender. Some people didn't. But to me, I got 4 quality, entertaining, engaging seasons. So I got it. Like, great. I got like 30 episodes of Daredevil. Like 30 hours of entertainment of Daredevil. So, while it is disappointing it gets canceled, we got a lot. And I'm just happy about that. And the reality is, at some point, we're going to get a new incarnation of Daredevil in the MCU anyway. James Gunn, we just got 2 movies in. We got like 3.5 hours of entertainment, as opposed to 30 hours out of Daredevil. And, yeah, I was excited to see where he was going to go. Now, apparently, it looks like Disney's still going to use his script. But I'm disappointed about that. Super excited about seeing Brightburn, though, which is, James Gunn is the producer on. And really excited to see what he does with Suicide Squad. We'll see where that goes. But yeah, I'd say the bigger disappointment out of the 2 of those for me was the Guardian situation. Also, how it went down was very disappointing. ZCM follows up with thoughts on Best in Show. Oh, I love Best in Show. Love Best in Show. I mean, that whole crew of people who, a lot of the same people who did like Spinal Tap and the one about the bluegrass music. I'm trying to remember the name of that movie as well. Anyway, I thought Best in Show was wonderful. And it's especially kind of poignant because me and my wife really like dogs. So yeah, if you've never checked out Best in Show, very, very funny, very quick, very smart. And it's just a great group of people who continue to make movies, made several movies together over the years. And I like all of them. Let's see. David Goldstein writes, what's next now that Nora is working with Reverse Flash? Oh, so you're talking about the Flash. Nora is, of course, for those of you not watching Flash, Nora is Barry and Iris's daughter from the future. So she has come back in time. She's kind of their adult daughter. And they just revealed that she's working with the Reverse Flash. I don't think in a sinister way, but they just, that's the last I saw. And then they went into the Elseworlds crossover. So I'm not quite sure how they're going to work that whole thing out between her and Eobard Thawne, but we'll find that out soon enough. So where's that go? I got a feeling she's trying to do something good and is using Eobard to do it. But of course, as in anything that involves a Reverse Flash, he'll turn it around. So we'll have to see where that goes. Water Kid writes, I really kind of think a Darth Viscerate or a Star Killer movie would make more money than any other Star Wars. Oh, you're insane. No, you're insane. No, they would. No. I mean, it's all subjective. You have your opinion, and your opinion is no less valid than mine. But my opinion is, no, you're insane. A Darth Viscerate movie and a Star Killer movie would not make as much money as traditional Star Wars movies. No. For those of you who know, Star Killer is the name of a character from the video games that was modeled after and voice acted and motion captured by our friend Sam Witwer, who did it. It's a great character. It really is. Darth Viscerate is a character from these old Republic games. You might have seen images of him. He looks like an emperor, like not like Palpatine emperor, but like a classic Roman emperor in white with the big shoulder things, a regal looking beard. Like that's Darth Viscerate, who was like a practically a nigh immortal Lord of the Sith for a very long time, and a very prominent villain in the history of Star Wars. But no, I don't see that getting a lot of people's attention other than like the really hardcore, like nerdy like us, Star Wars nerds. I really don't see it appealing to a lot of other people. I mean, it could. I'm not saying it's zero chance. I mean, it sure could. Depends what they did with it. But no, I do not think, right off the top, all other things being equal, that either of those movies would make near as much money as a lot of the other Star Wars movies had. Could it make more money than Solo? Sure. It could make more money than Solo. But, I mean, I wouldn't go much beyond that. Jared McBride writes, the line that Captain America said in Avengers Endgame trailer was powerful. I loved it. Oh, man, that line, when he's sitting down looking sad, the line you're probably talking about, I'm guessing, is when Black Widow says to him, it's going to work, Steve. I know it will, because I don't know what I'm going to do if it doesn't. Oh, it was a great line. Tony had a couple really good lines as he was sitting down looking sad. So there are some really good lines in the trailer, man. There's some very good lines, which is why I think it's a good trailer. Let's see here. Jesus Pineda Ramirez writes, John, have you heard anything about World War Z 2? I really enjoyed the first one with Brad Pitt. Yes, I heard that it's going to go forward. The issue right now is, what is the name of the director? Fincher? I think it's David Fincher. Is working on Mindhunters right now. And the last I heard was that once the second season of Mindhunters is completely wrapped, then the next thing he's going to do is go and do World War Z 2. And that'll be sometime in 2019. So the last I heard, and maybe information has changed, but the last I heard and the last I remember is that World War Z 2 is moving forward and it's going to start shooting in 2019 once the director is wrapped all of his work on Mindhunters, which is, of course, is the Netflix series. Good show, by the way. At least season 1 was really good. So I'm looking forward to season 2 on that. Victor Watson writes, John, I've worked 13 days straight. Ouch. I got home from work today, seen you had an open mic. Thanks for that. Well, thank you, Victor, for joining in and being a part of it all. And it is great that we've got this film fan community that we just get together and talk about movies, relax, unwind. I love that we're here to do it. I love that I have the opportunity to kind of run it from my end. I love that you guys are here participating in it. We create this great community, and I'm glad you can be a part of it, Victor. All right. Alanezi DL writes, what do you think of Laurel in season 7 of Arrow? Well, listen, I think everything they've done with Laurel, because this is a different character than the earlier seasons of Arrow, has been a big improvement over the old character of Laurel, because I loved Arrow. I straight up loved that show. I was an Arrow evangelist. Like, I was an evangelist for that show. I was go everywhere I would go. I would tell people about Arrow. People, you got to watch Arrow. You got to watch Arrow. You got to watch Arrow. I coined the phrase. I dubbed myself the Great Arrow Evangelist. Season 1, amazing. Season 2, amazing. But I never thought the Laurel character was handled well. And then they started the Captain Buckles thing with Laurel. When she took a couple of night boxing, not kidding, took a couple of evening boxing classes, and that's good enough for her to don the black leather and all the buckles and a stick, and now she's a superhero vigilante that roams the streets at night. It was a ridiculous turn that was so jarring to me, and I'm not saying it should be for you, and I wish it wasn't for me, but it was so distractingly jarring and so stupid and so ridiculous, it killed the show for me. It completely killed the show for me. And I remember I was sitting with Stephen Amell, who is great in that show. Stephen Amell, they do traditionally, it's getting better, but I'll get to that. Around that time, the writers were not writing a show that was worthy of what Stephen Amell was bringing as the Green Arrow. I have a huge amount of respect for Stephen Amell. I think he's great in the role. But I remember I was sitting with Stephen Amell, who plays Arrow. And I told him, dude, it's right when they started getting this whole Captain Buckles thing going. I said, dude, if this thing keeps going with Laurel, I think I might ditch on the show. And he looked at me and goes, dude, I'm like, I know, but that's how bad I think it is. That's how bad I think it is. This new Laurel, now they killed that Laurel, I think because there was a lot of people who felt like I did that character was just wasted. Now there's a new Laurel, a replicant Laurel from one of the other Earths. Because remember, the Arrowverse exists in a multiverse. Only she was villainous, right? And I like this Laurel a lot more. And I like the way they're using this Laurel. I really do. I like the way they're using her. I dig the character now. I'm on board with the character. So let's see if that holds up. Victor Watson writes, my favorite movies with Tom Hanks is Burbs and Big. Well, I mean, Big is, I talk about Big all the time because my wife, Ann, who just idolizes Tom Hanks, that Big is my wife's all-time favorite movie. Burbs is cute. I would probably lean more towards, a Saving Private Ryan. Oh God, he's just got so many good ones. Man, I'm just listing all of them in my head here. There's so many good ones. But I'll go Big and Saving Private Ryan would be the two I go. I mean, Green Mile's amazing, but those are the two I'll stick with for now. Dirk Diggler writes, Let's see. I made a remark on Friday's show saying, did someone call me? And we just got to that. Because of your conversation with Robert, if a Star Wars 9 trailer is released early, then it better have something big like Dirk Diggler. Here I am. No, I got the reference. It was a Boogie Nights reference. I got it, Dirk. Don't worry. We got it. Okay. Where are we at here? Jesus Pineda Ramirez writes, John, I got a tattoo of your face. I'll email you a pic. Oh, dude, man. While I am honored, if you're not joking, I'm going to hope you're joking, because this is not something you want tattooed on your body, man. I mean, I was born with it, so I got no choice. But it's not something you want to willfully tattoo on your body. But if you did do it, I ain't going to belittle you. I'm honored. I would be honored, but I'm just going to sit here and hope that you're joking, because you don't want this on you, man. You don't want this on you. Waterkid writes, would you like Galactus as the next Avengers villain if the Fox deal goes through, and why? I've gone on record before saying I don't know. I don't. Now, I'm not saying I never want them to use Galactus. It's not that I don't want them to ever use Galactus, but I think for narrative's sake, you got to start changing gears a bit. Because we spent years now in this whole, gotta save the universe, gotta save the universe, gotta save the universe. And then reality itself and the Infinity Gauntlet and blah, blah, blah. You have to get off the treadmill of the next bad guy's got to be even bigger. And then the bad guy after that has to be even bigger. And then the bad guy after that has to be even bigger. They got to get off that treadmill, right? You got to change gears. It can't always be about saving the world. Sometimes it's got to be about saving the girl, or saving the family, or saving the city, or saving the neighborhood, or saving yourself. You got to change gears. You can't always be at threat level midnight. Bonus points to those of you if you got that reference. You can't always be at threat level midnight. Right? You got to change gears, which is why I like that when like an Ant-Man movie, particularly the first Ant-Man movie, was him about trying to save his family. Really. I mean, at the ultimate, right? And I like that. I don't know that you go from Thanos to Galactus, right? And just try to keep, because eventually you're going to run out of space. The law of diminishing returns will start to turn and start eating itself. And I think you got to be careful with that. So while I do want them to use Galactus at some point in some way, I don't want them to use it next. That's not where I want them to go. All right. T. Kane writes, hey, John, love the show. Thank you so much. Or I love the show. Question, do you think this season on Supernatural, we are headed for a Michael v. Michael showdown? Humans always allow angels in. I don't know. It's possible. It is possible. I don't really look. I'll be completely straight with you. I have stopped caring all that much about the story of Supernatural over the last couple of seasons. I've enjoyed it. The Amara stuff was pretty cool, and what they're doing now is pretty interesting. But especially in recent years, to me, Supernatural is just about hanging out with Sam and Dean Winchester for an hour. Really. I love the dialogue. I love the banter. I like the characters. That's kind of why I'm still there. Now, in the earlier seasons, up to like season 8 or something like that, I was in it for the story of it. But in recent years, now I'm just in it for the characters, and I just love the characters. So whether they go to a Michael v. Michael thing, I think it's interesting. There's some things that suggest that. I know there's some fan theories out there about that, and it is possible. So I'm kind of iffy on it. We'll have to wait and see. All right. Ben Rayner writes, AvengersEndgame.com, straight genius idea. For those of you who didn't see it, somebody got the URL, AvengersEndgame.com, and pointed it to the 12 Days of Deadpool, or the Once Upon a Deadpool website. It was genius. Now, I thought it was Fox that did it. I thought it was Fox or somebody from the Deadpool camp that did it, but it turned out it was a random fan that did it. But still, one of the funnier things I've seen online in a long time. It was great. Javier Rios 405 writes, Pepper Potts as rescues Tony. A lot of people are thinking it's Pepper Potts that rescues him. I don't know. There are the most popular, the three most dominant theories right now about how Tony gets rescued. If you ignore Rob's theory that Tony dies, the three most popular theories are this: Pepper rescues him, Captain Marvel comes across him and rescues him, or this is going to work. I know it's going to work, so I don't know what I'm going to do if it doesn't, is actually Widow and Captain America leaving on a mission to try to go and rescue Tony. Those are the three most popular theories that I've heard at any rate. I would actually put the Pepper Potts one in third place. I would put the Captain America rescues him first, Captain Marvel second, and then the Pepper third. I think any of them are possible, but that's the order I would kind of put it in right now. Luis Tapia writes, Bumblebee is getting very positive reactions. Dudes, I saw it, and I freaking loved it. I loved that Bumblebee movie more than I should love a movie. Because, don't get me wrong, it's not like the top 5 best films of the year, but I have waited so many years to enjoy a Transformers movie again. Because I haven't liked a Transformers movie since the first Michael Bay one. That was it. All the rest of them after that have been crap. And to go into a Transformers movie now and come out with a big smile on my face and having really enjoyed myself and having a good time, that's a good feeling, my friends. It's a good feeling. When you get a chance to see Bumblebee, go see Bumblebee. I might even recommend it over Aquaman. And you guys know I liked Aquaman. I think Aquaman's real fun. But I might even I think I'll recommend Bumblebee even over Aquaman. So it's a good weekend. Regardless, that weekend is a good weekend. You go see both of them, and I think you're going to have a great time. But yeah, I really like the Bumblebee movie. Javier Riaz 405 writes, I think Nebula's on the ship with Tony. She's mostly machine, so she's not worried about food or oxygen. Also, I don't think Nebula knows where Earth is or if it exists. Nah, she knows where it is. She knows all the databases and all the things. She knows all of it. She knows it all. So she knows it. And you're not alone, Javier. There are a lot of people think she's on that ship too with Tony. I don't, but I could be wrong. She may very well be. I really believe that the ship we saw her on was a different ship than the one Tony was on. So I don't think that's the case. But as far as whether or not Nebula knows where Earth is, she plugs into the navigation computer. She knows where every major planet is. She knows where every major planet is. So of course she knows. She knows. Now, whether or not she's on that ship with Tony, who knows? I just got to think that I think she ditched Tony and just left without him. But I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see. That's going to be one of the big questions that get answered. Again, the big popular theory right now is that she is on the ship with him. I still kind of believe she's not. We might even find out in the next trailer, right? We might not even have to wait for the movie to come out. We might find out the answer to that question, whether or not Nebula's on that ship with Tony or not. We may find out the answer to that question in the next trailer. Let's find out. Troika S writes, where are we? Game Awards are our Golden Globes, sadly. Once had a shaver mascot present. Really? Always been 90% commercials. Awards themselves are our most popular movie. Yeah, I watched the Game Awards the other week. Because I was curious. There have been some great games. I was curious to see whether Red Dead would win Game of the Year, God of War would win Game of the Year, Spider-Man would win Game of the Year. I wanted to see it. And God of War won, and I really love God of War. But I was 90% of the reason I tuned in to watch the Game Awards because we knew that the Russo brothers were going to be presenting, and I thought there was like a 5% chance that they could introduce the Avengers Endgame trailer there. Instead, they introduced it 12 hours later, whatever. But what I was really shocked about was it was just all commercials. That's all it was. Like, I like the fact that they award the great games of the previous year, of the past year, and highlight and put a spotlight on some of the big things coming up in video games this year. I think that's something the Oscars should do. I think they should honor all the films of this past year, but also spend some time dropping new trailers and showing previews and saying, guys, let's celebrate the movies, the year that was with the awards, and a little bit of the year to come with we're breaking the first world premiere looks at new trailers and previews and things like that, and balance it out a bit, right? But I watched that Game Awards. I watched 2.5 hours, and I think they gave out 6 awards in 2.5 hours. And it was like they didn't even care about the awards. And now let's watch this commercial. And now this video game commercial. And now this video game commercial. Now this video game commercial. Now this video game commercial. This video game commercial. This video game commercial. This video game commercial. Now let's give away an award. Here's your award. Now let's get back to the commercials. This video game commercial. This video game commercial. This video game commercial. This video game commercial. Now let's give away an award. Here you go. Go away. Now we got to get back to the commercials. It was like 85% commercials, 15% actual game awards. And you know, the name of the show is The Game Awards. You would think the focus would be on the awards. Call me crazy. Make a separate special and call it the 2019 Video Game Preview Show. And then do that. But I just think I'll never watch the Game Awards again. I'll never watch the Game Awards again. Because it's only about 15 minutes in a 3-hour show. It's about 15 minutes of Game Awards. And the rest of it was just commercials. And it's cool, the commercials, but I can watch all the commercials on YouTube later. I don't know. That was just kind of me. And apparently, Troika, I guess I'm not the only one who was frustrated with it. So thanks for sharing that, man. All right. And that will do it, guys, for this installment of the companion videos. Got a little bit caught up. Guys, we still have a whole bunch more questions queued up for us to get to, and we will have more companion videos this weekend. Keep your eyes open for that. But that will do it for me for now, guys. Hey, don't forget, on Sunday, we are going to do a all-open spoiler discussion of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. If you've seen the movie, and you've got today to see it, you got Saturday to see it, you got the first part of Sunday to see it, and then we'll do the thing in the afternoon on Sunday. Make sure you come on back, join us for that open discussion. Should be a lot of fun. And of course, we will do an open Avengers speculation and theories video sometime in the next few days. I will let you guys know when that's going to happen. All right, guys, that will do it for me for this installment of the companion videos. Thanks so much for being here. My name's John Campea, and until the next video, bye-bye.